All the chords over. Right.
Hey, YouTube, how y'all doing out there? Hope all is well with everybody. I hope all is well on this chilly Thursday night. 2 nights in a row. We got another good show for you. We got the president of the NAACP, Mr. Fred Royal, joining in. All right. Now we got
At least you didn't call him FaceTube.
Right. All right, Facebook. How y'all doing out there? I hope y'all doing. How are you guys doing? I hope all is well. Welcome to the People's Network, where we talk that talk and walk that walk, raising vibrations and elevating thought. Y'all better come on in. This is the
Outlaw Radio.
Report. This is Outlaw Radio. We do so much in a week, y'all forgive me. But yeah, we got a great show ahead of us today, man. You know, we special guests in as we have been for the past few weeks. Kev, talk to me, sir.
What's going on, Black Milwaukee? What's going on, Black America? It's your boy, the world-class smartass Soundcheck, right? But like my boy said, it's Outlaw Radio on the night. It's player politics. If you know what we do, you know we represent the underground. We represent the people that are often talked about but never talked to. So that's kind of like how we get it in on the show. I always have smart ass because I've been known to get smart with white people. And I'm also the Negro whisperer because I know how to talk to my people.
Yeah.
I ain't perfect, but I'm worth it. I'm not going to even try to tell you how to think. I'm just going to present you with some options, and you can choose accordingly. So tonight is a very special show because for myself, it involves me getting involved a little bit with the establishment, right? Like some people might say, Kev, you walking the line now. You getting involved with the
NAACP for the last 5 years, but I've also been there for the last 42. Retired from Delphi Electronics.
I wasn't born yet.
Right. But my latest ambitions is the candidate for the 7th Automatic District.
Okay, who's the incumbent over there?
Gentleman by the name of Khalif Rainey.
Ooh, Hip Hop Week.
Hip Hop Week.
All right. Your opponent has been on the Breakfast Club. So,
yeah, it's very formidable.
Right. Welcome to the show, man. We have a lot to talk about tonight. I want to give people the call-in number. The call-in number is 262-202-5131. That's 262-501. I'm sorry, 202-5131. And you can call in and you can talk to the brother if you got a question or if you want to rep your brand. And we say you have to rep your brand. So if you just, selling graham cracker sandwiches out the trunk of your car, you don't know what that may lead to. So if you want to rep that, call in, let us know. But more importantly, keep it respectful. We don't do disrespect on the show. And we are all people of color. So the mission here is not to demean anybody or talk. If you don't agree, let's figure out why we don't agree. No. If you call in, just have some respect. That's all I'm saying. Even if you disagree with what you're going to hear tonight. So with that said, my brother Fred Royal, I wanted to shout out all the Black businesses that I know in the city. So out 3041 North, Mr. Keith Terry, 414-810-3131. The North Side's most beautiful facility, Urban Country Club. Mr. Terry is a staunch supporter of the show. Then we shoot to the Sherman Phoenix and we get with all of the people. Who's all in the Sherman Phoenix?
Shout out to Honeybee Sage, one of the spots where you can find natures and the herbs. I got my elderberry syrup with me. Yes, you got a cold, you got the flu. Give me 2 days. I bet you'll be back on your feet. Let's get it. But again, back to the Sherman Phoenix. Shout out to Honeybee Sage. Let's give a shout out to Truman down at Funky Fresh Spring Rolls. He's moving into the big space where Next Level Vegan was. Next Level Vegan is gone.
Next Level Vegan's gone.
Yeah.
So shout out to Anna. Is she okay?
Shout out to Anna. Yeah, she's okay. She says she's got a couple food trucks she want to start to get up and running.
So be on the lookout for that.
Yeah, be on the lookout for that. She'll probably be back on the show. Shout out to Chef P, our in-house Warrior Report vegan chef.
That's me. Don't worry about
she will be back again with us next week. She couldn't make it yesterday. Let's give another shout out to the Underground Collective or the Underground Makers Market. I'm sorry. That's with Jay Riley. Shout out to Jay Riley and her mother over there with the At Peace brand.
Right.
Peace. Fred Royal.
Yes, sir.
Tell us about yourself.
Well, like I started to say, man, I grew up in Milwaukee, second generation. I think I was born across the street from Greater Galilee. Stayed there till I was about 5. Then we moved over to. I left and went to the service, and never came back home, man. Hooked up with my high school sweetheart, and we've been shacking up ever since.
This is shacking up.
That's amazing. I'm gonna tell you.
Was it to sum that up? He's a native North Sider,
Exactly.
so he understands what it was then as opposed to what it is now.
Right.
Because I always make a point of letting people know that at one point, Black people in Milwaukee had the highest standard of living amongst all Black people in this country.
In the country.
And I was born in 1975, so I got a little bit of that Black middle class teasing.
Absolutely.
And then it mysteriously went away. And it coincided with Reaganomics and the introduction of crack cocaine to our community.
Epidemic. Yes, sir.
And that kind of changed the game. I always tell people I was 10 years old in 1985. And up until that point, the world was a beautiful place. But I woke up one day in 1985 and said, what the hell just happened?
New York City.
Right. So now Milwaukee has long a recipient of that abuse. Like Chicago's bad, Detroit bad, Gary, Indiana's horrible, East St. Louis. We talking about Midwestern cities, and I won't get to the West Coast or the East Coast because I don't know nothing about that. But even St. Louis. See, Milwaukee's ghetto is not unique to Milwaukee. The ghetto is what it is in every large city. You know, we know we all come from here.
Oh, you good?
Okay. Well, the motherfuckers in LA, they got the same problems that we got in Chicago and never met. So in this country, we have what I like to propose as something that's systematic, but it's become systemic for us. And it's hard to change that. So in a city in like Milwaukee, where you come and run against Khalif, the generation gap, do you think young people like us, Gen Xers, vibe towards Khalif more because he did Hip Hop Week as opposed to you?
I think that's part of it. And a lot of folks, we don't understand our history. So we sit up and we talk about voting rights. A lunch counter, a ride on the bus.
You didn't watch the show before.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But we don't talk about the other portions of the civil rights and equal opportunity laws that aren't being administered and enforced the way they're written. Because if you understand, I read this book, some gentleman by the name of Bernstein, but it talks about how the government and private industry collaborated to ensure that Black folks
no doubt
were marginalized. Redlining, education, housing, banking, how that we maintain this marginalization as far as it comes to the distribution of economics.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't understand that, understand the system on which you are operating, you can't combat the forces that are having these negative influences on our lives.
Okay. So now, and Bull, chime in. I don't always say, talk to us, don't talk about us.
Mm-hmm.
But you a brother, it's about criticizing Obama. And he said, young brother, let me happen to Black Power in Milwaukee. And I said, what? He said, A.L. Smith start hiring.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have to, we felt like we didn't need to do that no more.
No.
So we all went and got jobs and bought houses and Cadillacs and we was living.
Got perms.
Right. Like the process. My daddy said he had a process, right? He had on heels.
Was that before the call?
Black people
were
eating.
Yeah.
Right. We were eating. So a lot of our older people, and this connects into your current position, a lot of our older people, we feel like they were able to get through the open housing.
Yeah.
They bought them a home on Capitol Drive.
Had disposable income.
They worked 45 years and then they retired.
Yeah.
Now,
bought some rental property.
Right. What they got, had a bar, had a
bar.
candy store, sold it to an Arab in 1970. I'm just saying our older people now, I don't think they look to innovate the way they vote. I think they look at
the system under which we are operating, man. These folks play for keeps. It ain't like you win today the wars. They trying to get it back.
Even when you old.
Even when you old.
That's when you pass. That's why I love Andy Courtney. Because he sit in the middle of the ghetto and still talk to these youngsters. Everybody who comes, he'll hand them a pamphlet, he'll tell them something. And he's like, I'm too old to be out there shooting and looting, but hey, I still got something to hand y'all.
That's my man's, man. He taught me.
He been on the show.
Yeah, Mr. Courtney taught me so much, man. You know what I mean? As far as like this spiritual guidance.
Dudes had Mike McGee Sr.
Yeah.
Like, you know, my daddy was a little bit older,
Yeah.
but the dudes who came up in that era in Milwaukee,
Commander McGee.
they had Mike McGee. Imagine him when he was young.
Oh, he was a
Right.
beast. He was a beast. You know, he was a commando.
Right.
I mean, he
You know that.
he wasn't new to the game. He was true to the game.
Right. You
Well,
know that's
you go to
that's his
Vietnam.
son.
I mean, yeah, you tell me.
At the Funky Fresh
I know,
Road. Yeah.
but so I
For conversation.
And what the people don't know, that's my cousin.
Okay. All right.
Okay, well, that's what's up.
Peace.
Man,
Through marriage.
I always big up. Growing up as a youngster in this city, me and my mother and I used to just literally watch the news. She'd be like, let's see what McGee did today. And if he didn't have, she'd be like, well, he know how to act the fool, right? So, and my mom had marched with Grappy.
But he acted fool with purpose.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, man. Yes, intentional. Yes. So that leads me to the controversy. It's a controversy for us. I don't know that it's a controversy for anybody else who doesn't understand. You are the president of the NAACP in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
True that.
You are the president of the NAACP in one of the worst places for Black people, right?
At the bottom. You know, infant mortality.
Yes. Third world countries.
Mass
Lead pipe battles.
Yes.
Definitive connection between
Yes.
lead poisoning and violent behavior and murder. And we look at our babies and say something in the water. Well, we are exactly correct.
Yeah.
Something in the water.
And our children that have been identified
Stationary for us. Some more.
and diagnosed with elevated lead levels are higher than those from Flint, Michigan.
Yes, sir. And I was, as an MPS teacher, I was a special education teacher. I had
You gotta confuse the argument, so you can't take blame, especially if the city mandated through an ordinance that you use this material in construction of all homes, because the brother-in-law of the mayor at that time owned the lead mining company. See, what people don't understand is I heard one of the accusations is that.
know that. I'm only gonna speak for what I know.
But see, I'm not. So, and I know these are long haul battles. It took the voting rights 12 years. It took the busing strike 14 months.
Well, hell, Brown versus Board of Education was passed in 1955. Milwaukee didn't. And for me, it's a criticism wrapped up in a question. Not in no way as an intelligent man say they had nothing to do with it.
But we won the ones over Pettis Bridge. It was Snake Corps,
right,
and SCLs.
But see, I always thought that was a derivative of being affiliated with
like the American Roundtable and Block and other organizations, LIT, and these other organizations that are in social activism too. There's room for everybody in this fight.
So the reason I'm gonna tell you the reason why, because I do what's my people? I love them to death. The Urban League. Because I look back at the presence of people of color. I've researched the presence of people of color from very early on.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized how we're set up. And the Urban League comes in, and the NAACP, even the formation of the NAACP, writing a dissertation to get a doctorate now because I was inspired. B.B. Du Bois versus with the United States government to make sure Black intellectuals never affiliated themselves with Marcus Garvey. And that's very unsafe.
I know what you're saying.
So, right. So because I look at the struggle, because you have to look back at Black individuals, and you talk about a talented 10, that's ridiculous to me. You talk about people who say, I'm Greek, I'm part of it, but do you really know what that means?
Yeah.
You're talking about secret societies. So if you got a Black secret society that says, we're only worried about a 10th, he has a very long history where they get the award out for. I've been with the people who don't have grant money behind. I've been with the people who you walk the neighborhood and you dealing with their individual issues. My cousin got killed last night. They shot his, you speak to these people in these communities. And I looked around and I would see certain groups, but I would never see the NAACP. Mm-hmm. And I would say, where is the NAACP? Mm-hmm. In Milwaukee. Mm-hmm. Then I look and they say they got a building with no signage.
Trust me, cuz
in 2020, you got to have at least a sign. I'll write the sign.
We ain't missing nobody. They find us now. Well, like you said, these
100 members, but only 50 are active.
20.
Well, okay, you said 20. Okay, that's even worse.
I know.
I was giving you credit.
I know.
And then
And I got 21 committees.
Only 7 of those members are under the age of 25.
Yeah.
That is ridiculous. You know, the older people got the knowledge, but the young people got the legs.
They got the energy.
Right.
Absolutely.
So, but with an operating budget of $64,000 and you don't get paid,
I don't give a damn.
what is the $64,000 going on?
Keep the lights on.
Damn, y'all got a high ass light bill.
We got a light bill. We got to pay expenses for the rent. We got to pay pick up the phone to take the complaints.
But you can go send it to the answer machine.
Because that's no, you can't do that to these people. Right now, they're saying you don't get back to us in a timely fashion. So if you somebody picking up the phone and writing down the complaints and directing them to the proper committees to even get back to them, we have an uprising, man. Come on now.
So we got Fred Royal here tonight, my brother. I want to welcome to the show. We get loose on Thursdays and Saturdays, so if we say something, don't put it on Fred. Kev said it, or Bull said it. The opinions expressed solely those of the motherfucker that said it. Know who to be mad at. Okay, so 262-202-5131, and I think players are politicians both ways. Just being from the streets, I understand that the dude with the smoothest jib wins. If he got mouthpiece, he wins. If he can spit it and make people feel comfortable, he wins. And that's what politicians are. Oh, you got a pie, oh baby, don't worry about it. I know my guy, send him over there, straighten up your street, baby. Just give me how much money you got on you. And that's that consistent kind of manipulation in our community we've always seen. That dude should be the greatest politician because you should be able to sell snow to it if you black.
Some of our greatest politicians have been black.
Yes, right, exactly. And this is why people don't trust politics. This is why our voter turnout is low. So I want to know, how did y'all lose the youth? Because
let's understand the structure of the organization. We've got a Marquette NAACP chapter. We have a
Marquette. Okay.
Yeah, we got a youth council, but it's not our organization. It's not my organization. It's the community's organization. So when the community says, "How come you ain't done this?" and you part of the community, our membership is $30 a year. That's less than a pizza and a 2-liter. Right. Or
like a quarter ounce of weed and a 6-pack.
That's what I'm saying.
I got to make it so my listeners can understand it. Wait a minute. Okay, I mean $30.
Shit, but they know to get the munchies. They want that pizza. Right. They want that 20-inch with toppings.
For 20 years, I've been involved in every kind of grassroots movement up here, trying to really get to the bottom of what happened to my community, what happened to my city. And I've been on the front line so many times, and I never seen the NAACP.
Okay, let's unpackage that. Because you're talking about an organization that opens doors just by its initials, and folks don't take the time to get involved in it and use that organization to open them doors to get them to the spaces that they want to be in, knowing that we got the worst of indices for our people in this city.
So if I call you right now and say I got a problem with this or that, you have somebody really willing and able to go out in the community and take care of it?
Not necessarily. I might have a committee for you to go out into the community and get out and get it done.
Okay.
I mean, if you engaged in it already, why not do it under the NAACP?
Why not? Why do you think black people are choosing not to rep? Because a lot of black, and see, I followed it all the way up to Kwesi Mfume, because when I was young, I really thought he was a smooth dude. I thought he would be kind of like, and this is me being young, because you know how long ago that was. I said, oh, he's in charge now. He gonna get into a powerful fist.
Mm-hmm.
And that shit never happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tupac, like, damn, Bush president. So I ended up in 2003.
But that happened with a lot of organizations. Folks just start detaching from organizations, period.
That's true.
Because I'm a Mason too. I'm part of the. It used to be like the group for black folks to join. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you were black in this community, you were part of Prince Hall Grand Lodge. Let's face it.
That's true.
And I mean, that has diminished because folks just got tired of going to go to meetings.
That's it. And that's when you said that about the committee. That's what I was thinking, because you end up going to those meetings and I've seen it before. It's like a Chappelle skit. I don't know if y'all watch Dave Chappelle, like I'm a Chappelle fanatic, right? Like, so it's a Chappelle skit where somebody gets up in there fiery, and then an old person get up and say she's been living there for 70 years. And then some wing goes, And usually Barrett will come in, depending on where we at, take a couple pictures with some dudes and be up, right? So, and nothing gets done. You just had a meeting about having a meeting. So now I'm mad at my brother saying he spent me because he sent me to a meeting that have a meeting about a meeting. I'm trying to deal with the fact that people are getting killed in my neighborhood. So what ends up happening is somebody calls Tory Lowe.
Yeah.
So Tory gonna get there and he's gonna put that new energy into it where it's visible. It's on Facebook. It's right now. It's on YouTube. People are saying, wow, he's getting in with our people that are suffering more than the NAACP or more than the Urban League.
And there's a need for that.
Okay.
But this is that we step in.
Oh, I got the same thing. I made a copy of this.
Absolutely. You know, we doing the Black agenda.
Let's do the Black agenda.
We go.
Let's talk about the Black agenda. You know, you talk about the younger generation, and I'm listening to the revotes, the same master, whether Republican or Democrat. Ain't none of them serving our community. So we got to have a direct ask of these folks to impact this systemic racism that they've been whooping on our butts for the last 400 years. And so that's not our lane to be doing out there, the social activists. When they were talking about the Fair Housing Act and those 200 nights of activism, that was the Youth Council. That wasn't the old heads. You know, they are a separate entity from the old heads, just like that youth council that was headed by Marlene Johnson and Father Grappy was the youngsters of that time.
Right.
They were doing that civic engagement. We were talking about changing legislation, impacting the systemic things, the root causes of the problems.
Okay. I've coached. I've been in the community with young people. You know, was residential treatment as intensive case management. Like I said, I was a public school teacher. And in this community, I don't ever see a kid wearing it. Say, ain't that college basketball? No, that ain't what it is. That's NCAA. Graham, let's get some celebrities. Let's grab some of these celebrities and get them to wear our brand and talk to the kids and rebuild our youth council because they say the youth will inherit the revolution.
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
But the youth have to be engaged enough to revolt.
Okay.
Because the youth be checking out on these Instagrams and Facebook, Xbox and Ybox too now.
So how do we bring the young committee together with the elders? You know what I'm saying, with the elder community? Because what I understand is that the elders, they come with the wisdom. The elders have to instruct you. You know what I'm saying? So how do we bring them both together so we can get this?
So is there mentorship? Do you offer a mentor program?
No, but it has to be done organically. It can't be something that is superficial, that's tried to be forced. If there's not an organic issue similar to, excuse me, family, Dontre Hamilton, that said, we need to address this police scenes, trying to get what we call the federal government to come in and do not a collaborative review. We were talking to James Centel at that time, who kept pushing us off. Now, fortunately, Chief Flynn asked for a voluntary collaborative review from the Department of Justice and said that it's not binding, but at least it shows where the improvements in the department need to be happening.
I even want to ask you about that, and I'm glad you them are affiliated with you. So when there is a Dontre Hamilton, they can do their investigation, but the NAACP has launched theirs as well. It's two. Okay. Now, so
William Sutton and James. So you still have the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, which is its own entity, and the National NAACP, because of the same thing. There was a splitting in the ways. This organization is archaic in the way it's structured.
Man, thank you, because I'm sitting here listening to you, my brother, and I'm saying, how can one organization be splintered out? I mean, like and nobody is there a central committee? Is it as the national? Can you pull all this in and kind of make it a more efficient? We'll let them put a Converse, brand on it. So I'm saying it's archaic. I just want to give you credit because you said that.
But you still got to benefit from it. I mean, what other alternative do we have to the NAACP?
chaos.
Exactly. So all I'm saying is these young warriors out here, man, I've offered many of folks that have come out here that were doing things hang on, but when you go in the door, you
Who are in the organization who are ready to do that? Like, do you have people who step up and say,
it's getting better.
President, as far as that mentoring going? Because I know, just because like I said, I coached high school football for like 12 times, and they want to be involved and say, hey man, I grew up over here and I did this or I did that, and I want to come help our kids. None of them are going to you all and saying, because y'all should have a football team.
So
Y'all should have a basketball team. Y'all should have a dance team for the little sisters. Like,
let me give you a piece of historical context about the Milwaukee NAACP.
okay.
And I know the father's gonna jump off the hook off this one.
I hope so. 262-202-5131. Let's get it.
In the chat room.
2010, when Gerald Hamilton was voted out.
Yeah.
When Jerry was voted out, it
Yeah.
was under some circumstances that there was mismanagement, almost to the point where they felt it was criminal activity. She was cleared of that. Who was the first vice president at that time, and James. Right now, today, they still salty about that. But here's the thing: at that time, the budget was $200,000 annually.
Woo!
So we had this whole perception of being mismanaging corporate donations. We don't do programming, so we don't get grant dollars. I've never wanted to be beholden to the grantor of those dollars, because I might have to come and burn your house down. So that's why we operating on a $60,000 shoestring budget.
But okay, so with that all right. So at one point it was $200,000. You said you was some
program.
Okay.
Under James Hall and myself, I've never wanted. In the last 5 years, I've never wanted to do programming.
Well, don't you think some programming? Because I know you speak about workforce, like, because I gotta
I get mad at workforce model today.
Well, I got a county resolution passed with Whiteshine, where we want to turn the park pavilions into what we call community restoration centers.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, they passed it, and you know, it was supposed to be, I want to start at the Black Pavilion in Lincoln Park and make a central services hub, so something could be centrally located in a neighborhood where you can get everything from prenatal care for young children who might be pregnant. You can get job referrals, because why not put some Wi-Fi in that building and use it for something? And the first person they used for the article, I think it was Urban Milwaukee, was you. And you said, well, that's not even what we're focused on. We're not looking, and if you was misquoted, tell me. You said that's not even something that we concerned about. I was like, dude, for real? I'm talking about people being able to walk in there and figure out how to get a GED. So it all connects in developing our workforce. And I said, man, why you do me like that? I put another one in the bag and said, see, that's why I don't like that place. I blamed it on you. I said it on the show. So everybody be like, can't back like I said that. I said it. I told him to his face, I said.
And I appreciate that, but it wasn't intentional towards you. It was toward that whole model of having more damn work readiness programs. When I grew up, you learned your job on the job. It was called OJT, on the job training.
Right.
Every electronics, because somebody had filed a complaint with the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission.
Okay.
And said their hiring practices was bogus, and because they had theft. I was going to Vince Duran Big Step because I was trying to get out of my employment at Lattice, this high density grinder where you was ironing wrinkles out of titanium steel that broke my leg, and get on a new career track. So he came in the room and said, big time, you want a job? I said, yeah. He took me out to Delphi. So in the process of the orientation, they had us go through all this manual dexterity and through all these
the damn sentences.
Yeah. And then they sent me next to a guy that couldn't even read.
Right. Was he white?
Absolutely. So this is all I'm saying, is that the model that was in place where employers had to take the time to train their workforce, they pushed that off on government. And it became a program, another program where people were eating off the system. Nobody was getting a job. They're just going to job readiness programs.
Well, see, this wasn't even, and this wasn't even a job readiness program. What I looked at this is like this.
But I didn't see that your concept. This when I heard it. That's
Right.
what I envisioned.
And that's cool. That's cool. I ain't mad about it. Now I'm over it. It's been a couple of years, right? I'm just saying, it wasn't for me. It was one size fits all. It wasn't like to put you in another job training program.
Right.
It was for you. And he'll say, well, do you like, because this is what I do. You got a resume. What are your skills? Yep. Let's assess you. Yep. Let's get your strengths and weaknesses. It was that. But I looked at that and said, see, they ain't even connected to the community because this is what the people want.
But Employ Milwaukee was supposed to be in that one-stop shop model.
Yeah.
I mean, you're supposed to be in over there.
Yeah.
You can get your benefits. You can get dislocated worker programming.
Yes.
You can get job placement. You get
misplaced
dislocated work.
Dislocated day. They laid me off. That's why I'll be like, fuck.
And they give you bus tickets. They give you
everything.
You can get your glasses if you need. You can get lawyers if you need that. All those benefits were there.
If
in
you
that
work there,
program.
you get paid.
Absolutely. You got paid good.
I'm joking, man. I'm joking. And they took a 20% hell, you know, but when Willie's up top and Willie's
administration fees.
Right, well, you know, Willie, hey, what's going on, baby? Right, you know, Willie, hey, come on, man. I was there during that time. So
where's Willie?
Well, you know, he's away. My homeboy Chris Johnson, who does Kingfish MKE. Me and Chris Johnson real tight. He is a staunch supporter of what we do with the People's Network. So, you know, so Chris always is advising me on things, but he says, I do not apologize for leading the effort to remove Jerry Ann Hamilton, her chosen predecessor, Wendell Harris, in support of attorney James Hall. Now, Beverly Williams, who's the daughter of Jerry Hamilton, states, I'm late. If Royal does not have any tutoring programs or youth programs, what does he have for citizens? My mother also tried to have a work readiness program. Now, I'm going to tell y'all this. I love how y'all comment, but this is why I bought a phone. I'm not going to be reading all night.
Yeah, call
262-202-5131. Let's talk to the brother. I ain't going to be. And I want to respect people because they passionate about it. But so I'm just saying I'm trying to mend my own fence before I move on because I spit it all the time. Like I say on a national level, the NAACP is irrelevant. Where's their leadership? They've lost control of their organization because it was never really ours in the first place. It was started by some sympathetic white liberals and Jews. And they threw W.E.B. Du Bois in there with a couple of the other talented 10. Now, they did work.
Nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong with taking organizations that take over ours all the time.
Well, we haven't taken over theirs.
Well, we need to.
Okay, how can we take this back? How can we
answer the phone?
He does that, right? I know. Right.
I may not say that the whole time.
You're live on the People's Network. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Beverly Williams, Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Miss Williams, Miss Queen Williams. What's going on?
Good evening, Ms. Williams.
Oh, nothing much. I saw the cover from Chris Johnson. I've never heard of him before in my life. I don't know where he is. But as far as I'm going to stay on top of, as far as Mr. Royal is concerned, as far as Mr. Royal is concerned, I want to know what has the NAACP been doing, seriously. Because my mother, Jerry Ann Hamilton, left the NAACP. The NAACP has not been visible. And that's one of the goals for the richest and the oldest civil rights organization in America, and also supposedly in the city, is for you all to be visible.
I'm sorry.
And that has not occurred. The biggest goal for the NAACP is to make sure that you're putting all of your programs and things like that in the community page. If you're not making race visible, how in the world are you going to help the citizens in the automatic district?
So what we've been doing is fighting for legislation that needs to be enforced, administered, and or erected to afford us the opportunities to receive the benefits that are currently on the books that state their equal opportunity and civil rights laws that should be going and to benefit low and very low income individuals in the city. That would reflect us because we have had poverty around 40% for the last 40 years. Black male unemployment around 50 around for the last 40 years. So to get these statutes enacted and enforced, that the way they are administered on the books is my priority in changing the negative indices that have been impacting our community. Programming is good as long as you got grant dollars to fund them. I don't want to be beholden. I don't want to be beholden to not give me that grant. I can't burn their house down.
Okay, well, the question I have to ask you is two questions. You're stating that you've basically been working on the legislative level, but I mean, I haven't heard anything about that.
All of our initiatives.
And number two, if you have been working on the legislative level, how? Because I mean, do you have some kind of lobbyist, working, with the NAACP? That's not the goal of the NAACP is to address area education, to address area health, okay, and of course, employment is one of them. But one of the biggest goals of NAACP is to assist young people in our community as far as preparing themselves for the workforce, preparing themselves for the future. And I mean, the NAACP now, you all don't even answer the phone. I mean, we have youth council members who worked hard for many years, and they called your number trying to get some of the scholarships that they deserve, and you asked your kid who stated that he led the fight for Jerry, who he is. But I think the NAACP has been a big failure since my mother, Jerry Ann Hamilton, left now. And it has a lot to do with the men who have been involved. My mother was the one who was behind Felmer's Chain. Felmer's Chain sat in our backyard. And when I was a little girl, when my mother was trying to coax him into running for the NAACP. Because at the time, it was more so of a male-dominated type of city, and it still is. Now, so I personally feel legislative this, legislative that, but we have no proof of that. There's so many things going on in our city now. So many things. I mean, every time I look at TV, and I'm like, wow, the youth council would address that. The youth council, they're the foot soldiers of the NAACP. You all don't come out and speak on anything in this community. You haven't come out and spoken on anything, nor did James Hall. So I don't think that you're qualified personally to be an alderman either, because you have not even fulfilled the job description of the NAACP as it is now.
Okay, so I wanted to say this. Let me turn the headphones down so I won't blow people calling while you were on the phone, my sister. So he's gonna call back and we're gonna let him talk, and then you can call back and respond to him in kind. I just want to get him in. So thank you for tuning in and calling in.
All right, thanks.
Now he's gonna respond.
Answer the phone.
Chris, you obviously we were on the phone with Miss Williams. I don't have V100 switchboard. So Chris, hit us now.
I thought I heard the call.
No, he was calling, but I didn't want to cut her off. So I only got mine, man.
But we're open Tuesday, Thursday, because like I said, we don't have the $200,000 budget that Miss Hamilton had. And what is stated when she left was
Answer the phone.
is that they reportedly accused Milwaukee branch's leadership of thievery, malfeasance, and other literally operating a criminal enterprise. So that's why our budget has been cut from $200,000 to $60,000.
Turn the show down a little bit. He can't hear me. Chris Johnson, what's going on, man?
Everything's going great. Thank you for taking.
Go ahead. What you
means? But to address Miss Beverly Hamilton's comment about who I am.
Williams.
Oh, Beverly Williams. Thank you. I was one of the people that led the initiative to get a new president of the NAACP when Jerry Ann Hamilton wanted to run an individual that was underneath her auspice. to take over the NAACP. Wendell Harris, tall civil rights lawyer, very well respected individual, not only in the Black community, but also in the overall civil rights community, primarily because we have been asking for an audit for several years, never received one. We did not know where the funds that were being advocated or allocated by the NAACP, had no idea where those monies were going.
You talking about the $200,000 that you just referenced?
We were denied.
Okay. You talking about the $200,000 that Mr. Royal just referred to?
Oh, much more than that. That was included.
Okay. Okay.
There was money from the American insurance redlining lawsuit that we were questioning as well. So Fred, can you can acknowledge what I'm speaking about?
Well, I tried to put it into context that we didn't want to get caught up with that type of programming and be beholden. We go hard at NAACP, but yet they criticize that we aren't doing anything, and you won't even take the initiative to go on the website and read the initiatives that we're involved in.
Okay.
I completely agree.
Which we did, which we're going to talk, which I did, I'm sorry. And we're going to talk about what my brother's doing. This is why he's here, because he's running for office, right? So he's presented the Black agenda, which we're going to go through. So Chris, I don't know if you want to say something else, but I want to get to his Black agenda so people listening can understand, because
keep listening.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Shout out to Chris Johnson of Kingfish, man. I told you.
And three of the areas that Ms. Wilson alluded to,
Williams
are on the agenda.
Okay. So let's start with this one. Okay. And the first one is, you want a copy, bro? You got one? Okay.
I got one.
So it's education, right? Which we know to be a serious situation in Milwaukee. Work to stop the school to prison pipeline. There are disciplinary processes, but the actions are not equivalent to the city ordinances or state statutes. The current civil rights investigations on MPS states of suspension towards African-American children. Hold Dr. Posley accountable for his commitment that the Director of Student Services will sit down with the city attorney and other stakeholders to evaluate the language in the student discipline handbook.
So let me explain that one just
Okay.
for a moment. Is the policy 8.26, student policy 8.26, and what got my intent. Now, the city ordinance is 28 grams, and it's a municipal fine. Okay. So why are we stigmatizing our babies with this intent charge? And that leads them to that pipeline, because if they
makes all the difference in court. Exactly. Word, right?
They've got assault. Those are
school fight, right?
That's you growing up. That's a fight,
right? You
got rape. You got some serious offenses that they charging our babies with that don't even meet the legal threshold for MPD to charge them with. Okay. But it's still on their discipline record, and if they ever get adjudicated for anything else, it's there.
Mm-hmm. So now, how are you all actively?
So we're having conversations with the school, with the superintendent, with the Posley, but then there's another brother who's in charge of student services, and we're trying to get and the chairman of the board of directors. We're trying to get a restorative justice policy. They asked for a restorative justice practice, instead of just suspending and expelling students.
It shouldn't be all punitive.
Right. So let's make that a policy so that that's the first discipline process. You start unpackaging the trauma that these children are coming to school with.
Answer the phone!
I want to make sure brother get Hey, you live on the People's Network, but hold on, I want to make sure my brother gets to finish his statement.
Yeah, we got to stop being so punitive on our babies.
Okay. Where you calling from and who is this?
This is Beverly Williams again. I wanted to, before you go on with the facade of the so-called Black agenda by the new NAACP, I want to clear some things up. Something that Chris Johnson, who I've never heard of before, stated. He said it was some type of criminal enterprise at the NAACP. First of all, we are a civil rights family. That's number one. My mother's a Christian. That's number two. Number three it was a big power play. The NAACP, I'm not going to go eventually. But I will say this. As far as the lies about my mother and this so-called money and all of that, you had people in NAACP that wanted the Milwaukee branch so badly that they tried to destroy my mother's reputation. Fred Royal.
I wasn't even a part of the NAACP, so don't accuse me of that.
Hold on, sir. He found no credibility to the claims from Chris Johnson. Okay, so all of that is a lie. Okay, it's a lie. Now, she could even get some of these male pastors to back her. There was a major pastor in this city, had this $1 million church. He would ticket, one ticket. He wouldn't buy a table. He would buy one ticket. The ones who ruined the reputation and the brand of the NAACP were people like Chris Johnson and James Hall. I don't know anything about in community brainstorming, the people in the community brainstorming. I don't even know who Fred Royal is until he came on the scene. But I will say this, I will do everything in my power so that whoever runs against him will win and he loses. Okay, because he has not done anything with the NAACP. He has not fulfilled the mission of the NAACP, and then he's running to be an alderman. And that's my opinion. And I will do everything in my power to help whomever is running against them.
Power to the people, my sister.
Thank
you for calling. You know we love you.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
All right. That's what's up.
Bye-bye.
I love Miss Beverly, man. Seems like she grew up on Capitol next door to me. If you was trying to call in, we go one call at a time. So the line is open now. 262-202-5131. A couple of different people called in. I won't cut Miss Beverly off because I respect my elders. I try not to cut Fred off, but Bull is
anybody can get it.
Hold on. What's going on? Hold on. Do I got my thing connected? What you say now? I can't hear them. Something's wrong with their phone. You want to call in? Let us know.
Try one more time.
People who are just tuning in, it is Outlaw Radio, Player Politics. We got my brother Fred Royal, who is the president of the NAACP in Milwaukee. And it's a very spirited, emotional conversation because a lot of people, like myself, I'm able to articulate that to you. Because it's hurting my ears.
It's going down.
People can't work. You live. What's going on?
All right, I'm back. Hey, this is James Ross from Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
What's up, baby?
I do Fred Royal. I thank him a lot for being instrumental in my life. But one of the things I've been listening to is it's almost like when I was younger, I thought the NAACP was an organization for civil rights, not a job program.
Right.
So got all this money and only gave him $60,000. $60,000 won't even get you through 3 months out of the year with a business that I thought. And these people are so busy trying to slander him personally and slander y'all brothers personally that they're not looking at issues.
Because I think it took civil rights for us to get equal and fair employment. That's entirely a part of it. I've said many times, they looked a little bit too much at inclusion and not empowerment. Because I don't want to sit at your lunch counter and say that, but you have no clue. You don't know what you're talking about, right? Moms would check me on that and say, she said, this is what my mother used to tell me. My mother used to talk about picking cotton from sun up to sundown. I said, Mom, I wouldn't pick shit. She used to tell me they would have gave you a Chinese man. He hung high. You'd have picked that goddamn cotton.
And I'd have told you.
Check this out, though.
Right.
Now, let me ask you this, though, young man. Did she tell you about the Black South where we had our own? Where you didn't have to sit at a white-owned restaurant to get service. That we had black-owned cafes, which my great-great-grandmother.
About that because in that part of Mississippi they didn't have shit. She didn't tell me about that because in that part of Kosciuszko, Mississippi, they didn't have shit. That's why she left when she was 16 and came to Milwaukee.
Well, if you go over a few miles to Mount Bayou, they had it. If you go over a few more miles to Rubin, where my ancestors, our own, tried to rob him, and he got tired of that. He wanted to come home to his family at night, so he ended up out there with where will he because of just life. You see what I'm saying?
Well, I'm gonna say this. I totally.
So people keep talking about how come they don't have these programs at the NAACP. Y'all get the money up.
Well, hold on.
That's all I'm saying. I'm really talking to that young lady who kept trying to bash everybody.
Hold on.
She's talking about
Respect the sister. Respect the
But
sister.
you don't know
She's
who
an
they
elder.
are.
I know she's an elder. She's an elder. Let's respect her, and let's respect the difference of
No,
opinion.
I'm respecting her,
Right.
but I'm still respecting her respectfully.
Right. Okay. So I'm just saying, to her benefit, because my family came here, they got here. We did go work at Alice Chalmer. We did purchase property later on. We do own the land that we came from in Mississippi till this day. But we fought all the way through. So when I say about when my mom and my bought their house on Capitol in 1970, home.
Okay.
So there is that sense of
Look
perseverance.
inside of you and ask that young man with the white goatee, where is he?
Well, you just told us.
That's all I'm saying.
You just told us.
From the same area.
You just told us. And I appreciate that. What I'm saying is, see, we get into the argument about the argument. And it's beautiful that y'all family has represented that. That's beautiful.
Yeah, we ain't killing Mike.
That's beautiful. But once again, we all the same. We're all in the same position.
Exactly.
You know, what did he say? I'm a nigga, he's a nigga, she's some niggas, we some niggas. Wouldn't you like to be a nigga too? So it don't matter if you make a $500,000 or a Happy Meal.
Still nigga.
We still the same. So we can't get lost in arguing and really get into it about the philosophical aspect of it. I always like to quote Mr. Farrakhan when he said, we don't argue about religion because we don't know what it means anyways. We'll argue about that when we get free. So our mission should be freedom. I had this show because I knew that there would be some controversial statements, man. And my brother, I told you before. So you didn't walk into an ambush. And he brought a wealth of information.
I got factual evidence.
You got paperwork for days.
I can show you what I'm doing.
Not enough deploying, and I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna bow out gracefully, okay?
One love, nephew.
Mr. Roy, keep up the good work.
Yes, sir.
Peace,
And
brother.
I think he called in last night, so because when Lena was on, I think is that the same, bro?
I don't think so.
It sounds like they sound the same.
He may have.
Right, because he was at us about the NAACP last night. I said what I said about the NAACP. I ain't taking it back. I'm glad I've got to converse with my brother Fred. You know what I'm saying?
I think because I brought the documentation of what we've been doing.
Okay.
Like I said, I'm not out here trying to get headlines and trying to be on television. I'm trying to get the work done. When we talk about the next one is fair housing, we have these low income housing that are always talked about for affordable housing in the homes.
We talking about the wild? You talking about Washington, Ozaki, and Walker?
That's how they base our average
$70,000 a year.
That's how they base our average medium income, right? But if our average medium,
I need to see that.
If our average medium income was grouped with Racine, Kenosha, and West Allis, it would drop to $50,000.
Answer the phone.
This guy. The People's Network, you're live. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Nick McVeigh. I'm candidate for 5th District Alderman.
Nick McVeigh, you supposed to. Did we get you booked yet, Nick?
No.
Tell Ghetto to call me. I'll lock you in. A white dude.
I think he has my number. I met you down at Sherman Phoenix.
Thinking Saturday. I think we might be losing a goose on Saturday night, so you can come through.
All right.
All right, I'll inbox you.
I was calling in because I had like a caveat to like some of the economic equity work group preliminary recommendations through the county council. So it really describes why everything is the way it is here, and really how to fix it. It's a pretty interesting report.
It's $70,000. This is the maximum rent that we pay in the city. There's only 6% of low-income housing stock in the city of Milwaukee. In the county of Milwaukee, 6% of the county of Milwaukee, that rent is at $800.
Well, you say get with Racine. Like, how do
so every year the federal government adjusts the groupings for your average median income. They put you in what they call metropolitan regional index with Racine, Kenosha, and West Dallas, it would drop to 50,000. That would lower the maximum amount of rent that folks could charge you to get these low-income housing tax credits in these developments. That would really be affordable housing instead of just making it affordable for the developer to develop the project.
So, okay, so, but I hear this. I see this. This looks like great infrastructure. Whoever did this was tight, like Matt Booty. This is good. But I'm saying right now, if I have a problem with fair housing and I call you, who do you refer me to that can assist me with either of these?
If it's not William Sutton, the chair of our legal redress is the Fair Housing Council.
Okay. Okay, so there is somebody.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to connect the people with service.
Yeah, we do this every day.
Okay.
I mean, about a per year.
Okay.
So I don't get it when people call from Texas the other day.
Okay. What did Texas want?
Brother was in jail. He didn't do it.
Is he from here?
He didn't do it.
Then why didn't you call NAACP down there? Too bad, son. He was done.
In this Beverly Williams, like, well, whatever. She don't know me. She don't know what I'm about, and I'm, all about factual evidence, and about to speak on some of this stuff here with this equity report. It really describes how they say it. Let me look here. So in finding one, it says there's a deep and persistent economic equity crisis in the Milwaukee metro area. It talks about 79% of African American households in Milwaukee County have incomes beneath the minimum family survival budget. It talks about stuff like that. Let's see. It talks about finding too is Milwaukee's economic ineptitude, structural racism.
Right.
So I mean, this is a pretty long report, but it really shows, and you can see it with everything going on with
hey Nick.
creation.
Hey Nick.
Huh?
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
You're a white guy,
Yeah.
right? Right?
Yes, sir.
This is what I want to say to you, and I say this to all liberals, especially Democrats. We don't need no more reminders on why y'all got us down. We don't need y'all to chime in now and say, well, just give me a second. We don't need sitting here for 100 years saying, no shit, Sherlock. Like, so I get that there are some white people who are woke, right? And I'm not downplaying nothing you're saying, but I think we understand what you're saying. There's a systemic nature to segregation and racism in Wisconsin and in Milwaukee County and in the city of Milwaukee. I think that's what you're saying, right? Right?
Yeah. Well, I can keep it simple. So I do have a really high interest. My daughter is mixed, so when we sign her up for school and everything, she's considered black. So like, there's a lot of different issues that directly affect her. And
you're sympathetic to
like with this whole Green Deal and stuff that the Common Council is listening to, and if we created 3% of green jobs, that'd create around 8,000 new entry-level jobs here.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there's a lot in this report, and it doesn't say, well, the systemic stuff of racism and segregation. Yeah, we do already know that. But this report really details on how we can fix it.
I think you're misstating it. I think you're misstating it. We know that. We as black people know that. So you have to know your audience. We know everything you're saying. We know. We've discussed it ad nauseum. I'm not trying to, because I want you to bring all this Saturday night when you come. How about we do that?
Yeah. No. I'll put it in more like digestible.
Okay. Thank you.
Or whatever.
Thank you for calling, my brother. I see you Saturday night. Yeah. I wasn't trying to cut him off, but we know this. Like, we know how y'all been kicking out. This is what we've been saying.
And he could talk about that on his time on Saturday.
Right. I just,
it was nice.
It's hard being a host sometimes, man. Because I know I don't want to hurt people's feelings.
There's been study after study. Mark Levine has been talking about the shame
yes.
for years.
Yes. So there's many books written about it, and the statistics verified and prove it. And this is why I wanted you on the show, because you represent an organization that's supposed to counter that.
We've been fighting it. That's what I'm trying to have people understand. In 2011,
answer the phone. It's going down today.
only thing going down is my eardrum.
Where is Vince Tony at? This is what he wanted.
You live on the People's Network. What's going on?
Yes, Black Power. How y'all doing?
Millie
You
Queen,
know I
what's
had
good?
to call in, so don't even go there and don't you even trip.
I ain't tripping,
But-
Millie. You know how we get down.
I just want to
Talk
put
your
in
talk.
my 2 cents.
Go ahead.
First of all, Mr. Chris was reading off a piece of paper. He don't know. Where is the black agenda? I haven't heard it yet.
Well, that's Nick, not Chris. Chris Johnson wasn't reading off the
Okay,
paper.
well, whoever that was just on their phone.
That was Nick
He
McVeigh.
reading off a piece of paper.
Okay.
That's our problem right there. And then the first thing he yells is, I have a mixed daughter. Your mixed daughter don't go through what we do.
Okay.
Stop playing the game. What a black agenda.
Well, he gonna talk about it Saturday night when he come, Millie Queen.
No, he ain't got the black agenda. No,
All
no.
right, well, I'm
That's
sure
the black
we
agenda.
listening.
We know you gonna.
Y'all are the ones that I follow for my political outlook because I really don't have one because I feel like all of them ain't doing shit for us.
Okay.
We still, you already know.
Power to
Right.
the people.
Hey, Millie, you know the brother
Right.
here, Fred Royal, he just gave me and Kevin a paper as far
Details
as his
there, Black.
agenda.
For
Yeah,
the-
education, fair
Well,
housing.
we was about to get on
employment.
employment. We was about to get on
Okay.
employment.
Okay.
So Millie, I want you to listen and let's let this brother talk before everybody try to. Because I see, my brother, you notice people are just upset with the NAACP. You know that.
Well, folks is just upset, period.
Period. Right.
But I mean, this
Definitely.
is a target that they can focus their anger on, but it's misfocused. They're focused on the powers to be downtown because they're the ones that hold the purse strings. There's $11.8 billion that goes through this city every year, and they're not giving the black community the fair share of that money
At all.
At all. And they're talking about this little funky DNC that's $200 million over 4 days. I'll take my slice of the 11.8 billion, and they can keep the 200 million.
I'm mad because they're gonna leave the bars open till 4 so the white people can drink. I like to drink until 4 in the morning. Why y'all ain't never do that shit for me?
And they never will.
Right. You gonna let the Vikings drink all along, right?
Hey,
I'm gonna have my pistol cocked. They might want to go
they
ravage.
wouldn't even let us have the African American festival.
Right. Well,
Right.
that is the whole
See.
Afro Fest.
See,
I've
but
been
y'all
down
mad
that,
at me.
but I've been down that
But
rabbit
y'all
hole
mad
too.
at me. Yeah. All right.
All
I can
right,
take
I'm
that in.
listening.
All right.
Black Power.
Thank Black Power, my
Peace,
sister.
peace.
Power to the people.
We got 3 $100 million projects going on in the inner harbor right now. That's
Okay.
you know where Jones Island is and
Mhm.
stuff. So Komatsu, this mining company that builds mining
Big
equipment.
machines.
Man, they got this massive thing going on down there. Like they got hundreds of people working. We should have 40% of those jobs. We should have 25% of the total construction of those dollars. Minority contractors. We had 18% of professional services, and 18% of the nails, hammers, and screws that they buy should be procured from minority stores and contractors on each of those $300 million projects
We should. And
by law.
Milwaukee has long gotten away with, and that's why we had the contractors with the Klan, with the pistol zone, and with the swastika on the water coolers downtown.
So that's by city ordinance. That's the
Okay.
ordinance that say we should be doing it. So we've had study after study. We partnered with the Public Policy Forum and told them how to do it because they claimed they didn't know how. So we showed them how to get it done. And our auditors, that they had so many illnesses and people retiring that they couldn't conduct the audit last time it was supposed to be done. But it's supposed to be given to the auditors every
Mhm.
January.
Okay.
So how the hell are you an alderman down there and ain't asking for this audit?
Okay. 262-202-5131. We got the OG. We got Fred Royal in here, who's the president of the NAACP. He's also running for alderman of what district?
7th automatic district.
7th, fighting Khalif, the hip hop alderman.
I'm fighting for the district.
And
Peace,
myself,
y'all. Peace.
the world-class smartass is in the building, aka the Negro Whisperer.
Yeah, the black woman lover, the black man's brother.
I ain't perfect,
Yeah,
but I'm
yeah.
worth it. Now I want to discuss your employment thing because I am a personal, like I really link that high standard of living to the fact that our communities wasn't rot with crime back then. Like, because I know just growing up on 17th and Capitol how beautiful it was, and I would just come home sometimes and just lay my bike in the front and forget about it and go to sleep. And my parents would be like, "You left that bike outside," and nobody would steal it. And that's how it was. I'm still talking about 17th and Capitol.
Yeah, I know where you're
It was not a bar, right? So rest in peace to J-Dub, who got killed in front of J&J. And JC and the Davis family. Real cool people, right? My people from the neighborhood. But I'm saying, like, I always attribute a lot of the dysfunction to the lack of employment opportunities. And I say that, you know, a lot of our young brothers right now, and I deal with a lot of them who say, well, I'm out of high school now. I'm over 18 now. I'm in that kind of transitional phase.
He's got some work to show what he's
How
doing.
can I get some money? Okay, I'm gonna read it.
District. When you got all this
Go
work,
ahead. You told me. Go ahead. You go
all
ahead.
this motherfucking work going on in the city. $11.8 billion worth of work going on in this city. I went to work in Oak Creek. You can't tell me a brother that's living First and Water Street and go to work.
My daddy drove to South Milwaukee to the Cyrus area for like 20 years.
That's what I'm saying, man.
So, you know, but he was also making a wage consumed by auto maintenance and gas money. So I really might as well just work in the city for $12 now and save myself having to deal with the goddamn Walker County debts who, when at any given time when they got a ticket.
Are minorities.
Exactly.
And it's only 3% of minorities that live out there.
So we discouraged by going out there to work where the real money is.
Horrible.
Right. So, place, the first source agreement needs to be executed with Employ Milwaukee, we just discussed, which is the Workforce Investment Board. And a lot of people, Lena and myself always talk about Civics 101. You have to understand the way things are structured. Work to ensure that there is a strategic workforce inclusion plan to reduce unemployment for African Americans. First, I want to say this, because I see white people doing the running man in the aisles for the Tangerine King talking about Black unemployment is at a record low. It's never been this low. First of all, let me tell you, they're talking about 0.5% because it's always been 3% for white people, but always around 5.5% for Black people. They actually celebrated when it went from 5.9 to 5.8.
And that's the unemployment line looking for jobs.
They forgot about the ones that ain't looking.
Just dropped out.
Right. So don't believe the hype when the Republicans try to tell you, or conservatives. And I know you Black Trump voters out there. I see y'all out there dancing that jig. Shame on you Negroes. You raised y'all. Come on, son. I see y'all. Mr. Trump got a job. No, he didn't, you idiot.
Nah.
Come on, son. Like look at the same information they look. I'm sorry, carried away. But okay, so provide funding and pre-employment skills, training to community residents, stabilizing economic conditions. Okay.
You know, while you was learning your trade, you still got a check.
Right. Okay. But now they don't have that. Well, they still have it, but it's a process to get into it, and they haven't figured out exactly how to do it.
But if you I would suggest that if you were getting
These programs vote for your ass. New job training models coupled with job placement, right? Improving and integrating current data on the effect of poverty on literacy in third grade African Americans. Because up until third grade, literacy levels are low.
That's the word I look for, reading comprehension.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, it's very low. Our reading levels, our literacy levels, it leads to the learning achievement gaps that we have, which is another negative statistic that's kind of just dangling out there like some old balls that Barrett don't want to touch. I ain't mad at him for not wanting to touch balls, right? Maybe we need a female mayor. Don't be mad at Fred. He didn't say it. Maybe that needs to be some female, right? Her voting slogan, I'll handle the balls, right? Like, we vote for it. I'm joking. These are great. And I'm informed and enlightened. Because I went to the website and made a copy of this earlier because I had never done that before. So I said, well, let me see their social media presence. Let me look at what they do in terms of online. And then I found out, I printed this out. But once again, I say.
You found out we got a presence.
I found out that you have. There's somebody from your organization that's designated to go into Employment Milwaukee and say, I'm the liaison from the NAACP and I'm all about workforce development. So everything you're doing, run it to me so I can take it to the community around our office and start distributing it to them.
Fred Nelson.
Fred Nelson is that.
And he works at Employment Walker.
Okay.
I mean, he don't know Fred.
I know him. I ain't supposed to. I conflict of interest clause. I ain't supposed to talk about that. I know him. Y'all gonna make me
And
lose my
he's
damn
a beast
job.
with job fairs.
But they're focused now because most of that money is on
And it should be.
and trauma informed
Because
care.
we got 3,000 individuals returning to this city annually.
Right.
Annually. So I mean, just with the same intentionality that you incarcerated these brothers, you should be making it again when it comes. We ain't even talking about the zoo.
Well, yeah, but that's
not
the edge
zoo.
of
Not the zoo. I meant what they call that, the Wild Hunters.
Oh, the Wild Hunters, yeah.
And we ain't even started talking about the
West
Wild.
Side.
They ain't got no out there on Brown Deer.
That's West Side.
Yeah, they have not started documenting those brothers, but them brothers, they
Before them, when they got rid of the lakes and the meadows. Yeah, the meadows was a very important. Early 2000s, I was working for St. Charles, and I dealt with those kids from the meadows.
So this is what I'm saying is that they have us focused on 53206, but as you stated, this is a city of Milwaukee systemic problem that we have to deal with systemically. And if you are downtown in the Common Council,
It's so much going on in the chat room. I don't know where to start. The phone line is empty, so shoot as you will. Because Chris Johnson and Beverly Williams, which I knew, I knew this would happen. I don't want this to be Jerry Springer of Milwaukee, like the political version, but it's player politics, man. This is what happens when players politics sometimes. Sometimes people get in an argument, right? So as long as we respect each other, we can agree to disagree. It's just about us not disrespecting each other.
And we stay focused on the issue.
And you know, the main issue here should be liberation.
Absolutely.
And there should be some empowerment. I always tell people you got a choice of, as a Black person, of 3 S's.
Mm-hmm.
You ask yourself which one you pick. There's sovereignty, there's separatism, solidarity, which means we need to unite and tear down some of the silos, be able to do something, not going to disrespect him. We're going to have a real serious legislation, right? Now, once again, I ask, it's beautifully, like it's set up nice, but I just want to know, I need numbers on this shit. I would say, once again, I think transparency is the issue here. I would like to know on your website who's responsible. At the end of this, if you're going to tell me about education and fair housing, there should be a number to say, call so-and-so and so. He represents that.
That's beautiful input. I appreciate it.
I would think that's all I want.
That's how we, but that's how we progress.
Okay.
See, don't say it to me where I can't hear it. Say it to me direct. Let's have a civil conversation.
But it helps a lot, too, if I say, hey, my brother, still, look, motherfucker.
you ain't doing shit.
Right. Fuck So, y'all can call in. I see Jacquet Forte, who's from the 414 Life, and I really wish this brother would call in. He said the whole city is fucked up.
Right.
No, I brought that up because we were talking about entry. Mm-hmm. And that's one of their main issues in 53206 is recidivism. Mm-hmm. So he didn't bring that up. I brought that up. So I guess, folks want to beat me up. But Vince and Tony said, fuck trauma-informed care, especially from the white perspective. Solidarity is what I've been asking for since my return to Milwaukee in 1986. Africa Shan said, liberation and truth. We cannot allow liars to continue to be in leadership roles in our communities. Beverly Williams and Chris Johnson, I just read your comment. I'm certain that your life is...
Answer the phone!
Because I need my hearing wrecked, right? You're live on the People's Network. It is Outlaw Radio, Player Politics. What you got to say? What's your name? Where you from?
I'm Beverly Williams again.
My sister.
First I want to say that I believe in being civil. I learned that from my mother. I don't know who Chris Johnson is, and I really don't care. As I stated, the mission of the NAACP, I mean, Mr. Royal is showing you all this legislation on paper, but I mean, what is he doing in the community? I mean, we've had problems with the police. He has not addressed that. He states that he's working with Milwaukee Public School, which is the most discriminatory institution in the state of Wisconsin, and his corruption. We just found out that they don't even have a hiring process or interview process for the major administrators at NPS. Has the NAACP looked into that? Whereas in 2016, 23 Caucasians, 104 African Americans. 2017, 23 Caucasians and 116 African Americans. And then he's sitting on this show talking about what he has done legislatively, which is really irrelevant because it takes a long time to get things done legislatively. You know, and you have all these current issues that come up. When my mother was the president of the NAACP, that was our cold conversation at the dinner table, at family functions with civil rights. We had to stay abreast of what was going on in the community so that we make sure that we were addressing the needs of the people. I feel that Fred Royal, James Long, and even Thomas Cheney, all they did was sit up in their office and do nothing. Okay? And I'm just being honest. You can sit here and talk about all this legislation that you're doing, but when was the last time you came out and even talked and tried to convince some of the African Americans in our community to put down the guns? This is reality. So all of this legislation and all this that you're talking about is irrelevant. Okay, so how in the world are you even going to represent as an alderman the 5th district when you're going to represent them legislatively that may take years to go through? All these different problems are happening in your face. That doesn't make sense. There are so many issues that should have been addressed since my mother has was to back Wendell. Which, to be honest with you, if Wendell Harris would have been in the NAACP, we would not be having this conversation. Because all of our family and friends and all these older NAACP hardworking folks, we would have been addressing these issues in the city. Okay? And I don't feel that you're doing that. I really don't.
So Wendell Harris is currently the state conference president of the NAACP. So I guess
I know Wendell Harris. I know all about the NAACP. I know all the NAACP has to stay visible in the oldest civil rights organization in America. Every day we're seeing all these shootings happening in the community. I remember when my mother was president, she literally got on TV and asked, the citizens, please put down the guns. Okay? She was the only one who supported Michael McGee.
Did they put the guns down?
That program was doing. Okay?
Did they put the guns down?
I hate to use that word, bougie, but I'm going to use it today. You want to sit back and be so-called bougie and do this, that, and the other, but you're not on the street. You don't have a youth council.
We do have a youth council.
Going on with the NAACP Milwaukee Way. And if you do have a youth council, which they are the foot soldiers of the NAACP, then they need to be out there. There are too many issues out in that community.
So you need to talk to Linda Carson about the youth council.
Everyone's trying to call a criminal that was shot down in Mayfair Mall with no body cams. You all haven't said anything about that. Nothing. You all should have been out there protesting Mayfair Mall.
You could have been out there.
There's so many things.
Are you still a member?
Well, I'm listening. I can hear you.
Are you still a member?
Am I still? No, I'm not.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not a member. No, I'm not. I plan on being a member because I have my reasons for that. No, I'm not a member. No, I'm not. Because you know what? The folks in Milwaukee who did what they did as far as back to my mother when you all were harassing her.
I wasn't part of that.
Cyberbullying her and doing all the things that you all were doing, which is going to come out. All of it's going to come out. And the 3 gentlemen who took that money, I know who they are. And it will come out one day. But that's irrelevant right now. What we're talking about right now what we're talking about right now, Mr. Royal, is the fact that I want to know how you can be the alderman for the 5th district and address all of their problems when you have not fulfilled the job description as NAACP president of Milwaukee branch NAACP.
Miss Beverly.
In my opinion, you have not fulfilled the mission.
Miss Beverly.
But go on.
No, Miss Beverly,
Mhm.
you know this is your boy. This is your boy Kel. No, I love your passion. And I love the fact that this is kind of cathartic that you get this off. People to call in and say how they feel before we get off the air. So thank you, Paul. And I think you've made a beautiful statement tonight in terms of voicing your differences with this brother. And I want the people to be able to decide. That's why I want to present an even argument, okay?
Okay, you know what, I'm getting on the phone, but I want to say this. I want to know, like I said, how is he going to make his business? How is he going to help his automatic district?
Okay.
If he's not helping the community now as the president of the ACP.
I'll make sure I hold his feet to the fire on that before we get out of here.
All right, thank you.
All right, my sister. So if you want to call in, it's 262-202-5131. Chris Johnson's going crazy in the comment section. I sound like I'm promoting a fight, right? Like, hand from Miss Williams, Fred Ross swings, and the path of conversation was kind of going through what your Black agenda was, and it is specific to some of the things that ail us as clinics. But if you go out to the suburbs, they have big hospitals where they can do the surgeries, the major treatments. What's going on, Chris?
I just would like to call and state that the NAACP still has a lot of relevance, although Miss Beverly Williams is
okay. And people are in the chat room making a lot of comments, but you and her were kind of going at it, and you said you can provide some footage, and I hate to like promote that, but I think we have to get this off our chest. Because a lot of this is why we can't move on, because we're holding on to these things.
And I don't know if there is that passage of this, because like I said, some folks who were on the side of getting Miss Hamilton ousted were reprimanded by the national about loss of institutional knowledge. Like those groups, I had anything to do with.
Right.
But still, as the president for the last 5 years, even though I'm working behind the scenes to do what the mission of the NAACP
You're trying to.
Civil rights changing systems doesn't happen overnight.
Right, okay.
We've been at the table with MPD since 2016, trying to bring community-oriented policing model to the Milwaukee Police Department, where you look at the criminogenic behavior of an individual rather than looking at the individual as a criminal.
Okay.
And you with those systemic roots that drive a person into criminogenic behavior. So if you tell a young man to put down the gun, what is he gonna pick up?
What's the alternative?
So you can't just stand out there on television doing a press release saying, put down the gun. What I'm gonna do to get my bag? I'm gonna be the only one without a gun.
Right.
But then you're giving them alternative. You get them a slice of that $11.8 billion that I've been fighting for. So if you don't think that I get it, but I don't have to get it by standing in front of the camera talking about we want justice. No, we want systematic change.
So I volunteer for this. Let's get some way that, because I got a sister group, the People's News Network, and what we do is we put up permanent news, no fight videos, no porn. We got another site for that. That's revolutionarybooty.com. I will
agitate it and organize and get out here and hold people accountable.
Okay.
When we talked about the lead laterals, man, I really thought people were gonna come out and mass people in the group. And that was it. I thought it would be an overflow.
Right.
We got lead lateral baby
connection between some of the criminal behavior in terms of egregious and aggressive, violent felonies that are committed. There's a connective connection between lead poisoning and cognitive functions. And it's 5% ain't here. And where's the Urban League? They're not here. So that made me mad.
We've been there from the beginning.
I get that too.
Let me chime in now.
Go ahead, Chris.
Let me chime in. A couple of points I'd like to make. Number one, Fred and NAACP and the NAACP were one of the first groups to get through the city of Milwaukee and various other organizations that left But Fred and the NAACP did not do that. They stuck with us the entire time.
Okay.
I can verify that.
Well, I just like I told Lena last night. I wasn't at every meet, but I was at some. Right. I was standing.
You were.
I was standing front line and more than one, more than two, more than three.
You were.
Right. On the show a couple times, but at the time when I was there and I was saying, well, this should be a collaborative effort. This should be everybody. Maybe my son had a basketball game or a football game because I'm skipping everything for one of them. So maybe I missed it. This man. Oh, really? You don't even know me. I was pissed, right? But that's why when I got the opportunity, because Chris said to me, no, Fred need to talk. That's what he said. You need to. So I said, okay, brother can come on the show. It's all good. I don't vilify nobody. You know, you got the right to be who you are and believe what you want to believe. I would never take that. But it's good for men and it's good for youngsters to see us be able to sit down and do this.
Oh, yeah, and a civil matter.
Yeah, because you're a very important factor. And your organization is important.
We all operate in our lanes.
Okay.
But when our lanes can complement, when they got that intersectionality and we can make synergies, that's a beautiful thing.
Okay.
But there's another point that when you made that the correlation between violence and lead poison, there's also a core poverty and violence.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
Well documented.
Yes, sir.
Right.
And folks, I'm like, why aren't you fighting? I mean, American sewers should have no contract to say anymore. When that boy came with the swastika on his cooler and the pistol on his belt,
right.
Stay out there and graft it.
Right. Mm-hmm. Old cow shit drains out there in Menominee Falls that they have.
That's all I'm saying.
Right. So, I mean, and I totally agree with that. Just me personally, and I'm not involved in that because, like I said, my parents were very militant and they were not about that. They were about, no, you take your ass to school.
Right.
You get you a degree.
Right.
And you get you a job.
Right.
Because you got to be the change you want to see. It ain't about giving. But they didn't join none of that. So we didn't have any kind of political sway.
Gotcha.
No, my father wasn't no alpha, none of that. You know, so I didn't. And I've always looked at those organizations as kind of counterproductive. Because like I said, I researched the Atlantic Compromise and Garvey and how the United States has managed to divvy us up and take black intellectuals away from other black people. So you have a brain drain in the community.
Or
right.
They'll discredit the black intellectual that's fighting.
You know, sorry, Marcus. The damage is already done. And I think that people in our city, I'm still upset with black people for not voting because all this whooped ass. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
except for my man, Jason Fields won. And Lena put me straight on somebody else who won.
Tierman.
Okay. But everybody else, yeah, you got to do the primary, but you had 50 votes to 2005. Like, give that shit. Yeah. So I'm upset with black people because stop playing. If y'all don't want to change, let's just stop acting like we do.
And you know, that's what you hear doors like these. I'm gonna be from my alderman. I don't know who my alderman is.
Civics 101.
When you look at the condition of the doors, he's not telling enough to pick up the phone and tell DPW to come pick it up. But I'm just saying there's some total neglect that's going on. This isn't the 7th automatic district that I grew up in.
Thank you. It ain't the north side that I grew up on either. And I think one of the last things on your platform was criminal justice and police reform. Because right now we have a very complicated situation. Hey, Chris, I need you to turn your device down.
Oh, he's on.
Okay.
So we have an issue right now with the Fire and Police Commission and Barrett and this leaked video of Kaylin Haywood.
It's more than a leaked video.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
Entire fight.
The whole fight.
Not just the video.
The name, the number, the address.
Everything.
Right. And this is a violation of rights, period. But I want to know, first of all, this brother, maybe he ain't from the block. You don't question me without a lawyer. I don't got a goddamn thing to say to you. Well, come on, you don't. Not if Steinberg or whatever Jewish lawyer name ain't here. Let me call Mr. Rothstein. You can talk to him. So I don't know why he went over there and gave up the goods. I wouldn't commit a crime with him if I was y'all.
I can't call it.
Right. But then there's this leak of it, and Morales is like, I don't know. But at the same time, when you losing over here, 2 babies and a mom were murdered.
But when there is a domestic violence investigation, there's only 5 people that have access to that sensitive crime.
About everything. Barry was like, I didn't know that water was like that. And we like, dude, we got you on tape 3 years ago trying to give us water filter. Barry like, I don't know where that goddamn video from.
Hey,
dude.
And I got all my lead laterals replaced.
Right. Come on, son. Like,
yeah, you know.
It's time for change. No matter what you feel about, I'll tell you the same thing about this brother I said about Lena. No matter what you feel, no matter how you feel about Lena, you should be betting on black. Remember that what we used to say when we was little? It's a fight. It's a fight with a nigga and a white. If the nigga don't win, we all jump in. We'll argue about what started it on the way home.
The primaries just passed, and we all got to jump in now.
Right. We got to vote. And those politicians need to build bridges between the Hmong community and the Latino community, because then it turns into a 60-40 city. How's white people dominating y'all and you in a majority minority city? It's some ain't right. It's a fly in the buttermilk, as my grandma used to say. So I hate to get on my soapbox.
Let me put y'all on something that's even more egregious than the streetcar.
Okay. Damn, you going hard now.
That's more egregious than the streetcar. And we don't even talk about it. This is the shit that's hidden in plain sight.
Okay.
The Riverwalk.
Okay.
How many times have you walked the Riverwalk?
I've never walked the Riverwalk. Never.
And you know how many millions of dollars they'd have invested in the Riverwalk?
I can guess. I've been down there. I've never walked.
Multiple.
Right. That's for white millennials.
Almost every half mile is about $1 million.
Lord golly. She said, African Chef said,
we talked about no pig.
Maybe I did.
Misinformation.
That's what happens when you talk a lot like me. You did what you said.
I ain't heard nothing. I'm listening.
I'm sorry. But you're right. But Park East, there's a diversion of funds. Like I toured, what's that? The brewery down on the river. What is it? They make the gluten-free beer. It's in all the bars now. It's a white dude who started a brewery with his brother. He got all kinds of tax breaks. He bought an old coal power station. And they got
right there on Congress Street.
Yeah, they like make 1.5 now, but when he bought it, it was polluted. He explained how he worked his deal to make them even come in and clean it up. Yeah. So this is something we should be charging these incumbents about. Like, yeah, your suit's nice, but mine is not.
You could get the building.
Right.
They were supposed to bring in 25 workers. They ain't even brewing beer in that building.
Wow.
They're storing their boats.
But they wanted to put a slaughterhouse on Capitol Drive. Come on, son. Come on. Like, seriously? And Khalif, but I give Khalif credit that he did once he got there and he seen that people was in there like, oh, this is smoke. He said, whoa, y'all. And I know they was mad, like, you goddamn nigger. Yeah, don't you ever renege on us. Willie somewhere like, Fred, please be quiet. Please be quiet, Fred. Fred, don't do this to me, dog. People don't know about
thousands of dollars to remodel because they couldn't even open the door.
No, was it the one who had the federal? That was the one that they got away from. The one who,
yeah. That was the downtown joint.
Right, they got rid of him quick. He was riding around the city in a Maserati picking up chicks from the bus station.
Yeah, but he had an indictment out there in Vegas.
Yeah,
and they still
ain't, because believe me, if they came through your boy, who was the president of the school board, Michael Bonds, they came through him, and you know, if you catch him and you catch Willie, all y'all names is right now. All y'all better get a Jewish lawyer, like I said, because brothers be like, I ain't doing all this goddamn time. I'm 55. Shit, y'all better go get Leroy too.
And my baby's Outlaw.
Things coming for her on Outlaw Radio because she told me I'm gonna be on Outlaw. Don't put me on Wednesday. But we got to vote for you. We have an opportunity to vote for you again. I just wanted you to kind of tell the people why they should vote for you.
Well, you know, I sat down and spoke with Khalif right after I declared that I was running, and I said, you know, you're a nice guy, but your policies aren't in line with the needs of the people. I mean, Hip Hop Week is good. The Office of African American Affairs as a resource center isn't the type of office that should be the office like they had in Washington, D.C. to look at policies through an equity lens. when the office was first incepted in D.C., they looked at displacement from gentrification. We got the same thing going on there with the fires of reform, and nobody's looking at displacement legislation. So this is what I'm saying, that if you can't fight this white establishment through the legislation, where else you gonna fight the battle? Because they are maneuvering us everywhere we go. Right now, there's a plan called MKE Milwaukee. They call it the Greater Downtown Footprint, and it's from like Greenfield to North Avenue, from 27th Street to the lake. White folks are saying, we're about to gentrify this whole area. We're gonna take this back. And people ain't paying attention to it. They ain't looking at the tea leaves. So if you don't do this legislatively, by the time you wake up, we all gonna be out there in the wild 100s with no bus service.
Not all of us. I'm not going.
As many as they can get.
They won't get me. I'm a runaway slave. Listen, I've been fighting this fight for a long time. I'm gonna keep fighting. And if I know my wisdom, I'll hold them down. And she gonna get it. Remember we did the show, Kunta Kinte. Remember we did the show, Kunta Kinte. Yeah, and I run a nub. You have to cut my whole leg off, not just my foot.
Eyes go with you.
We'll be limping like a motherfucker across there. I do this, man. Like, just because you poured on me, you have to stink. Just because you poured on me, you have to be illiterate.
Right.
Just because you poured doesn't be disrespectful or violent, right? It ain't what you do, it's how you do it, and that's how you get out of it, right? So you persevere through that by having and not being. I laugh at white people all the time who voted for Trump and lost their health care. You thought it was just about us.
Yes, sir.
Your ass go in the wagon, come too, as my mom used to say. So that from the gate.
Go back to dragging y'all by the hair.
Right, come on, man. So if you look at Trump and you look at
in the kitchen,
right?
If you look at this country, and I tell you this, because I'm good, I'm straight. If you ain't looking out your window saying something gotta change, fuck it. I'm just gonna. If you said I'm just gonna keep voting the same way, then God bless you.
If you can drive down 27th and Burl Line to 35th without hitting potholes and busting your tire,
and if you feel good about that, God bless you.
And that's what get me.
If you look at them two little babies that got murdered by this savage, and the other sister got set on fire, and this is an everyday occurrence in our community, and you cool with that, God bless you. I'm finna leave. I'm finna move away from you niggas. You can say white people don't steal because you know what happened when they came to Africa, right? Man, I'm gonna add you to my, I don't know if we're Facebook friends.
I'm on Facebook.
I'm gonna add you to my group, and whenever y'all got an initiative going, shoot it to me, and I will make sure that some people hear about it and know about it.
Yeah, so if you're talking about through the NAACP, it's 562-1000 or NAACP infrared number 7.com, or you can go directly to my page at votefred4district7.com, or you can call me at 414-899-7460, because as your alder, I will call you back.
Well, a lot of people saying voting has got you where you'd be surprised. I'm just saying, sometimes it's fundamental. You got to dig into it. Look, I love the show. And they brought Senate bills in, and they brought Assembly bills in that I went at Lena in D.C. about, because why you signing this? Why you signing this in Madison? So I keep it fair. So, I understand a lot of people don't understand legislation because it hasn't worked for us, but at the same time it has. But
every year I'm talking about the erosion of voter rights. Voter rights was enacted in 57. Civil rights was enacted in 67.
I thought it was 64.
Or 64. But it's still,
right,
they're eroding those quicker than voting rights. They never fully implemented civil rights.
Well, they tried to do a voter purge here, and that's why I kept telling people, make sure you back. But I guess it didn't matter because motherfuckers was like, I ain't voting anyways.
Yeah, but I'm saying, how do we continue this fight for our civil rights to get our inclusion, our equity in that $11.8 billion, man?
Somebody got to put them on blast.
That's the bag I'm reaching for.
Somebody got to put them on blast.
That's when the young brother can put down the gun and pick up a hammer.
Yeah. So,
or pick up some IT. You know what I'm saying? Some coding.
If you know where it's at, let us know. If you know who those individuals are to represent themselves, you can't come in here, right? Brother Boone, represent the nation in turn.
And if you sick, I'll give you 2-3 days. You will not be sick anymore.
Well,
peace.
Keith Terry wanted to, he said, and I got to ask this question because Keith, my man, he said, why should we join the NAACP?
It's your organization. I mean, this is your platform to make your voice heard on the issues that are impacting you. It is not.
But do you believe that there should be a more proactive effort on the part of the NAACP to get back in with the community too? I think we both can claim some ills in this relationship.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt about it. But we've had town hall meetings. We've had engagement with the community. Now, we may not be the front billing on that activity, but we're there.
Let's get a membership drive. Let's take it to NPS and recreate it. Let's go into schools and educate the kids about what they've done and say, y'all become the new leadership council, the youth leader council.
That's what it should be. And actually, I would like to, we've got this Marquette chapter that just started back up. And it's the college chapters that are definitely more politically in tune and more activist than what we are as older schools. But
what you swallow. I see you on Saturday night.
Wakanda forever.
Wakanda forever. My man.
Peace.
Appreciate the opportunity.
People gonna be, they're going to be mad.